Hey everyone, welcome back. I hope your week is off to a good start. My name is Tony Shu. I'm the founder and CEO of DoorDash, and I'm super excited today to host yet another episode of Party of Two. Joining me today will be Clarke, one of the operators who pretty much has done every job at the Krust Caribbean restaurant company in White Plains, New York. We'll hear a lot about Steven's upbringing as well as, the storied history of this awesome restaurant. And let me add Steven, to the chat as we get ready to start the conversation.
Steven.
Tony, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks so much for joining us.
Excellent, man. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Pleasure to be here.
Well, why don't we get started and have you tell us the story of Golden Krust? I mean, it's been incredible to see you operate, or the company operate, for over 30 years now.
Yeah, I mean, it's been quite a journey. It started a bit before that with my grandparents in Jamaica. Hawthorne and Sons birthed Golden Krust. So my grandparents, the great Mavis and Ephraim Hawthorne, we call them Mama and Papa, they had a bakery in the hills of Jamaica, a small town called Border, which is because between two towns. And that's where the bakery began. That's where the baking recipes came in. They fed their community for decades with, the historic Jamaican hard dough breads and buns and pastries. My grandparents had 11 kids. They all eventually migrated here. And Uncle Lowell, the founder and CEO, and his siblings and their kids all put together with a little mechanism we had in Jamaica called partner draw, where you put aside a set of money every week and you don't touch it until a period of time when it accrues some interest. So they put together their money and they opened the first restaurant in 1989 in the Bronx, at Gun Hill Road.
That's amazing.
Pretty interesting story how that kind of came to begin, but things picked up fairly quickly. Jamaican food is popular, especially in that area.
Yeah.
We did business until about, I'd say 2005, we really got big. We got our first franchising license. We're the first Caribbean-owned, Black-owned company to have a franchisee license. We got that in 1996, and we opened our first restaurant in 1997 in Brooklyn. He still is in business, now in Florida. And then we had an aggressive period of growth between 97 and 2005, because we opened a 100 location in 2005.
Wow.
There was 1 year when we signed up 40 franchisees. So it was a hot concept, still is. I know we have over 110 restaurants in 9 states. And we also have a growing retail market. We're in 20,000 supermarkets nationwide with our microwavable patties. Some of the packaging in the background, as you can see. So the footprint has grown quite a lot over the years. And that's kind of the story in a nutshell.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, look, I know it's like impossible, right, to tell the story of 30 plus years in a couple of minutes, and it's just incredible to watch all of the growth. And I was looking actually at the menu. It looks incredibly tasty. Like it seems you've somehow been able to maintain the authenticity of your family story while, like you said, like catering also probably to some of the mainstream tastes and growing into retail and all of these things. I'm curious, like on the menu, I saw everything from the beef patties you referenced to, curry goat, to the breads that your family, baked. What's your favorite item? Like what should someone, maybe new to either Jamaican cuisine or certainly to Golden Krust, like what should we be ordering?
Well, the top 5 is the most popular is oxtail. Oxtail is really good. Jerk chicken, of course, the beef patties. But we have more than beef. That's a differentiator for us because we have about 12 different varieties. So we have beef, we have chicken, we have spinach, we have vegetable, we have non-GMO, we have Beyond Meat. As of 2019, we launched a Beyond Meat product. So we have an entry point from everyone. Shrimp, if you're into seafood. But from a plate standpoint, I would definitely say jerk chicken or oxtail. Those are very popular, so I would recommend you try those. And yeah, it's certainly a good mix of restaurants and retail these days, but we need to get you in one of these locations, or we need to get you to try some of these patties. I'll send you some after this, it's no problem.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. Well, one of the things I saw was that you pretty much, maybe because you grew up kind of in the business, you've done almost every job. I know you lead PR and marketing today, but you've done all the jobs. And I guess like I'm going to ask you two questions about, kind of, the business history. One is just what are the things you feel like, even though you've done everything now, hasn't changed, about the way business is done, with Golden Krust, and then my second question, just what are the things that have dramatically changed?
All right, great question. Some of the things that haven't changed, I actually appreciate a lot. You brought up the authenticity, and that's one thing that we rely on. Like since the beginning of Golden Krust, our chefs have always been in 4 hours before. It's not as turnkey as some of the more popular QSRs. Like our menu is still cooked from scratch, made fresh daily. Wow. The ingredients are plentiful. Some of them come from Jamaica still, and it takes a lot of work. We put out we have menus by day part, which are very complex. The team works very hard behind the scenes to put together even the simplest of things. Like you get white rice at one place, but we have rice and peas, which takes an hour and a half and has 15 ingredients. It's just everything is more complex due to maintaining that authenticity. So if that's one thing that hasn't changed, I think it would be that. The chefs are still there, and I tip my hat to them. I tip my hat to the franchisees, because it's not as easy to do this. We're not selling, burgers. It's not as easy to source these items. Oxtail is a very ignorant, dense meat. It takes a very long time to cook, but it's delicious once it's ready. So, that hasn't changed. We still are coming in early and working hard to put out a great, authentic, from-scratch product. What has changed drastically? I think the way we do business. 4 or 5 years ago, there was only one way to get Golden Krust. You would go to a location and wait in line for maybe 15, 20 minutes. It was a long time. I'm not going to lie. We identified that as a pain point. Now you fast forward, 4 or 5 years, we have, 6 or 7 points of accessibility. You are definitely one of them. And thank you for, extending our reach in certain areas where I don't think we would be able to have gotten trial, because we were increasing trial. That's my duty here, to increase trial, because if you try it, you'll like it. So you've helped us in that regard. But no, you can order ahead, you can order for delivery, you can order through the websites, you can order through third-party delivery. So we've certainly made our product very accessible and convenient. I think we're lucky. We have authentic recipes that are from Jamaica. So I always tell people that, our food is well traveled, but it also travels well. Like, so when you get to your destination, it still tastes great. The rice, the gravy, the chicken, it holds up really well in transit. So I think we definitely are going to continue to lean into that. And we have a new spot coming out soon to promote delivery, of which you guys are a part of. I have one of your bags in there.
Awesome.
So when that's ready, I'll be sure to send it over to you. But I think that's where we've changed the most drastically in recent times.
Yeah. And, maybe even walking through a little bit more of the history, like what or how did the decision to franchise come about? And obviously, like you said, between 97 and 05, there was tremendous growth where you opened your 100th store in 2005. Was that always a part of the plan, or and how do you also think about expansion going forward from this year?
Was always a part of the plan, but I don't think back then it was just running the restaurants, right? Until you start to see the scalability of the concept. But I think before we started the franchise, we had 17, and the family was just running 17, and that will run you down, right? So people were wondering, how do we become a part of this? And we still have a very large Caribbean franchisee market. That most of our franchisees are from the Caribbean, but we're growing that actively. But people wanted in, and we had 17, and my uncles and his siblings were all like, all right, well, let's turn this one over, and let's turn this one over. And as that happened, the franchising application went in, we got what we needed to, and then we started to sell. And we've expanded more than just our core demographic, which is intriguing. Heavy footprint, Metro New York, Metro Atlanta, North Florida, but now we have new locations in areas where you wouldn't normally see us. Texas, we're growing there. North Carolina, we have a franchisee, Paul, who just opened up last month, the third restaurant in North Carolina. So I'm pleased to see growth in areas and regions where you wouldn't expect Caribbean food to thrive. But I'm not surprised because we're not just lucky enough to sell Jamaican food, we're also backed by a powerful brand, which is Brand Jamaica. Jamaica, I don't know anybody who you would tell Jamaica, oh, you want to go to Jamaica? No, like people are usually like, yeah, I'm down. When are we going?
Totally.
Like it has a good vibe and it has an air to it. Like Jamaica is an entity in itself. So we're fortunate.
Yes.
And we're going to continue to push and wave the food flag for Brand Jamaica moving forward. As for new opportunities, I think you mentioned other things that we want to do. As much as brick and mortar is good, I think virtual is an option for us. We've looked into ghost kitchens. And we even have, I don't know how much we can let out on that, but an offshoot concept that carries authentic food in a more understandable vessel. So, everybody might not know, let's use jerk chicken, but everybody might know a jerk chicken sandwich. You get me? So some different things that we're working on that hopefully will grow our footprint and awareness in the next 3 to 5 years for sure.
Yeah, I saw you even open 2 locations in Canada, right?
Talk about learning experience, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's incredible. How do you decide where to go? I mean, you're right. I never would have predicted some of these locations like Texas or North Carolina, and it seems like it's going really well, in which, franchisees are even wanting more. How do you pick your new locations?
Well, we have a franchise development team, which my cousin runs. It's funny because everybody in the office were here, they're pretty much my cousins. Or you've been around the family forever, you're almost family. But my cousin Omar runs franchise development, and he has a team with my aunts, and they all do their analysis by radius. They buy the data that they need to. And naturally, funny enough, my uncle, when he started this business and he wanted to do franchising, he wanted to open everywhere that Air Jamaica flew to. So that's kind of how we ended up heavily in New York, Atlanta, and Florida. Serious, really. That was the thing. Like, all right, Air Jamaica, Jamaicans are flying here. We need to be there. The other ones I think are a derivative of relocations and transplants. A lot of people were in New York, but now they're in Houston. They're in Atlanta. People relocate for all reasons, but they don't lose the roots. So the guy from Brooklyn who used to buy Golden Krust on Flatbush, he knows looking for Golden Krust in Houston or in North Carolina. So I think that there's a bunch of transplant business that we're reaping the benefits of too. We've been around long enough now, so that's a part of the process.
Yeah, that's incredible. And it's awesome to see, like you said, the Jamaican spirit, spread its good vibes everywhere, because I agree with you. Like, who doesn't want to go to Jamaica or have a taste of it?
I agree.
Well, I'm curious, you're talking about this awesome, authentic menu. But as you were speaking, I couldn't help but think, wow, like, especially with given some of the, supply chain challenges we've had during this pandemic for the last couple of years, has that been difficult for the company, or what have the challenges been during COVID, and how have you overcome them at Golden Krust?
Strong question. I think it's 2-part. Supply chain is 50 times harder for us than it is for everybody else.
I can imagine.
My cousin also does procurement. Naturally. He's had a hard time finding chicken at certain points during this period. So imagine trying to find oxtail. There's only so many tails on the ox, And with what we've seen in those fields, the prices have gone up exponentially. I mean, you've seen the data for consumer pricing. I think it's up 7.3%, the highest since 1813. So what we're seeing in the supply chain side is very similar. Our cost of goods on oxtail has gone up, I'd say 70% at least. And that's just one thing. And they're not as easy to find, goat, oxtail, some of these very, not to say niche, because it's not niche anymore. I think they've gotten a lot more popular now. But these items are a lot harder to find than burgers and fries, to be honest. So it's hit home hard for us. And it's hit home for some of the customers too. We've seen some oxtail complaints, but I'm telling everybody now who's watching this, it's not us. We're not just changing prices for the fun of it. This is a serious issue, and that's how we kind of have to be flexible. But for the pandemic, I think I have to thank the franchisees. I have to thank the customers for supporting us. They've been very flexible and agile throughout the last few years to kind of stay afloat. delivery wasn't a big thing for us, in 2019. If you look at it, that wasn't that long ago. So the adaptation to dealing with the line, and then now you have the tablets going off. You have, social distancing to worry about. There's masks. There's more eyes behind the counter. There's more inspection. So everything got harder. And I just want to commend them for being able to wrestle. Like, we've always been a very strong, resilient group here. We've been through a lot as a family. And I think as a business, we've definitely, endured some rough patches. And I'm happy that we have a good team fighting alongside us every day. So I think those challenges hit home, and, we're weathering a storm. And I look forward to fighting with everybody as we've been doing the past few years.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's been an incredible success story that always has its ups and downs, and it's awesome to just, see everyone come together and really bring the best out of everyone during some of the, tougher times behind us. What most excites you about 2022?
All right, well, this is a big year for us because it's been a heavy period of innovation. Like, as I said, we were coming from the dark ages to now digital bright. We have, the new packaging on the retail side and the restaurant side. That's a, whole new refresh, a brand refresh, a new logo, loyalty. We have an app, our own app, the new website. It's just so much change in the last year. Monitoring consumer sentiment, new content, new campaigns, new products beyond meat. We have some new products this year. So there's a lot to be excited about because we've done so much in the last few years. And I'm looking now to measure out and see how these things are impacting the business. I've already seen lifts in delivery. We're up 62% year over year with your platform. So, I want to thank your customers as well, our customers rather. But what's interesting about that is, of that 62% increase, we've also seen a lift in orders. We're up 69% in orders.
Awesome.
So if we're getting more trial, I like that. But the gem in here is that 34% of those orders are coming from the Dash Pass group, which to me, I think is probably an audience that has possibly more disposable income. I don't know. For sure, you would know better than I. The 34%.
Pretty even spread. It's pretty evenly spread, actually. Yeah, they're just they very much enjoy their DoorDash experience, and so they order more often. But it's actually a pretty but you're absolutely right in saying that Dash Pass is a more engaged audience, and so it's awesome to see that the orders are actually higher than just your growth in customers. So that's great to see.
Correct. Thank you. So those things excite me because I think there's more to go. I think where we are now is just the beginning. Again, it's like GK 3.0 almost. And I think, these new audiences that we're tapping into, our ability to deliver could possibly put us in markets at a lower cost with a higher reach. So, we're looking forward to some of those things.
Well, it's going to be a great year, I can already tell. Stephen, is there anything I can take for you, maybe to close this session out?
I don't know. How much time do we have? I've been having a good time with you. Well, thank you.
No, it's been an awesome conversation. Yeah.
No, you've asked some intriguing questions. I think for me, I'd like to know, it's been a heavy period of sacrifice for us. And I know what it's taken for our team to kind of pull through this. But if, maybe two questions. The first one would be, what was the most, challenging period for you during this pandemic? How did you have to, dig deep to come out to where you are today?
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, the beginning of the pandemic was pretty scary, right? Like, I think for so many reasons. I mean, it was first and foremost, this health scare that nobody kind of knew what this thing was. And I know it's kind of, thankfully has mutated into something that is a lot more endemic. But, at the beginning, it was very scary. And so all thoughts were really around safety. But it was also really scary, for us as a business, right? Because at the very beginning, the March 2020 time period, it wasn't even obvious that governments would allow restaurant kitchens to stay open, and it was still kind of this touch and go moment where people were just freaking out over the situation and not yet, sure of what to do. And so that was definitely very scary. And I think to me, that was probably the proudest moment, where the entire team came together, worked pretty much 24/7. I don't think I've ever seen as much energy as when we were, a startup company in year one of our life, where, everyone was making menus, everyone was ordering, PPE and masks and distributing them to dashers. We cut our commissions by 50% during that period of time. I mean, like, just so much to take care of the community, like the consumers, merchants, dashers, and even our community partners, more so than anything else. And so it was that moment was probably one of the most grateful moments I've ever had. Not just proud, but grateful, where you really got to see the tangible impact on a daily, hourly basis.
Very nice. I agree. If I may allow another.
We'll close it out.
Yeah, you spoke about like things you're excited about in 22. Sure. And I've seen how you guys are growing the platform. We're looking into some things with, ship anywhere, to kind of move our retail products, convenience. I've seen the app grow as it pertains to reach. Over the years, I think, not to speak too much about competition, but I think in the food delivery space, there are a few. And in the rideshare space, there are even lesser amount. Now, we've seen in history some of the rideshare folks pivot to doing delivery of meals. Have you ever put thought into doing the inverse, moving from food delivery to getting into possibly the rideshare space?
Well, I mean, I think, kind of like you and Stephen and your entire family, we've been driven by, something that's been with us ever since the beginning. And for us, the goal since day one, year one, even to this day, is really trying to help, merchants. And we built this company to really help people like you, like my mom, who's a restaurateur, and the small, medium physical and large, physical businesses, really by building two things: by building this app that, can bring you incremental customers, but also by giving you tools, right? So you can have your own digital channel and do your own delivery from your own website, your own app, and things like this. And so that remains the goal, and I think one of the most important things about business, especially to get you through the tough times, is staying true to your mission and remembering, I think, where you come from. And for us, it's always been about transforming local commerce, and we won't stop until that has been achieved. And we've always thought it would take decades, and so we're just really lucky. Like, we look up to companies like yourself and Golden Krust, where you've been around for over 30 years. That's incredible, right? We've been around for almost 9, and so it's just very different, and we have a long ways to go. So that's what we're focused on.
A very strong 9, Tony. A very strong 9. A very strong 9 years. So congrats to you and your team, man. And I really enjoyed this.
Yeah, likewise, Stephen. Well, next time that, I'm out in New York, I'll definitely, try to step into a Golden Krust. I mean, the menu looks amazing. So please, everyone, please order some Golden Krust. And thanks so much for joining me for another episode of Party of 2.
My pleasure. Whenever you're here, let me know. I'll take you to the restaurant myself.
Awesome. Have a good week, everyone.
Have a good one. Thank you.
Bye.